Attention on deck! It's time for your tech news. Hello, welcome to Morning Call. If that IBM Admiral listens, she feel right at home. I'm Fab, coming to you from Hamburg as usual, from my office at home. It is Friday, the 1st of March, the 1st of March, 2019. Which hope you're doing well. It's a special day today. Today's it's my 17th anniversary with my wife. We're not married that long, but we're together for 17 years. That is pretty special. That is longer than some of you have been alive. No, probably not. But yeah. Before we get into your tech news for the day, what matters today, and maybe over the weekend, I got some housekeeping. Mint for Pillow. I was asked yesterday, can I please put this podcast on Google Play, like on Google Podcasts? And I checked, and I remembered why I can't. Because if I go to the website where you can submit podcasts, it says, unfortunately, podcasts are not available in your country. Check back later for updates. I think they should capitalize podcasts here, because what they're saying is Google Podcasts. Because podcasts are available in my country, Google, I'll have you know. We do have podcasts in Germany. It's just not your podcasts for some reason. Because you're like the latest to the party. I've been doing this for over 12 years now. So, fuck you, Google. Of course, I could probably circumvent this with a VPN or some other technical solution, but I just don't want to, because I like putting my podcasts wherever I can, but I want to feel whole, like I want to feel welcomed there, you know. I'm doing this for free, largely in my free time, so yeah, I'm giving you my content. You can, at least they must want it, you know. And there is other podcast platforms. I mean, you can just go to sixgun.org and get an RSS feed and use whatever podcatcher you want. Other podcatchers are available. It is on Spotify. It is on iTunes. We are everywhere. Anyway, let's stop with the moaning and let's get into the tech news. First story for today is the fact that Amazon has discontinued what Engadget calls its quirky dash buttons. So this is I'm reading this on Engadget, and it's more a PR message and less of a news story, because they're basically saying what Amazon is saying. So the spin that Amazon is putting on it is, well, when we introduced this, it was this brave new thing, and you know, IoT didn't really exist. And now you have all these IoT devices, and you have Alexa, and you have all these assistants, and these dash buttons are not needed anymore. And that's basically what Engadget is parroting, instead of doing some actual reporting and digging into the thing, which I hadn't really seen on other sites either. Although, I mean, I would immediately point out that I reported on this show a few months ago now that they like there was a lawsuit in Germany by a consumer watchdog who brought a lawsuit against Amazon and said these things are not illegal. They're not legal in Germany because in Germany you have to have a message to the consumer. Like if you push a button to buy something, it needs to tell you if you're pushing this, you're buying this. You're buying this, and you will later have to pay for it. And that's a legal requirement in Germany. And these dash buttons are obviously not doing that. And the court said the consumer people are right, and said basically these buttons are not legal. That they do not conform to German laws, and it can't be used in Germany. So I'm kind of wondering. I don't know. I don't think Amazon would cancel them just because of the German market. But I have a feeling that Germany is not the only country, at least in the EU, where that would be illegal. I think it was just not tested in court in other countries, and maybe it was just a bad idea. Maybe having a button where you have no user interface. I mean, I'm not against having a button. Like, I need more washing detergent. That was always the example, like with the washing machine. I'm not against that. The problem is, I don't know how often it's been pushed, right? Has my wife clicked the button today? Like, how many, like, have I clicked it? I forget this shit. I'm a geek. I forget this shit. Like, how many boxes of washing detergents will arrive at my house? And I guess I could look that up in my Amazon account, but then why do I have this button? If I have to go to I think it was maybe a bad idea. Speaking of bad ideas, the USB implementers forum. This was actually a story I wanted to report yesterday, but I forgot, so I'm bringing it to you today. It's a bit older, but still important, I think. The USB implementers forum has decided to rename USB 3, a standard where nobody understood anything. Jonathan MH says, I'm a geek is my favorite excuse from now on whenever I'm excessively dysfunctional. Well, it's true, isn't it? It's not even so much of an excuse, it's just true. I can do certain things. I can set up a web server for you, but I cannot remember how often I ordered detergent. Yes, so USB 3.0. I mean, nobody understood when they introduced USB 3, nobody understood. I mean, people understood it's faster and it's a nice connector because kind of like the Apple one, you can turn it around. That's cool. That's a feature I like. But the names for like the speed, nobody understood, and then there was like this, like one super speed, and the logo's like SS. That went down in Germany. They are changing it, and they're changing the names for like the speed things. And I have this Golem story open here because they have a very handy table. So the three speed levels used to be called USB 3, 3.1, and 3.2. They were then named USB 3.1 Gen 1, USB 3.1 Gen 1, and 3.2 didn't have a name. And they are now called USB 3.2 Gen 1, USB 3.2 Gen 2, USB 3.2 Gen 2x2. What? The what now? The what's it? The what? Sorry, what? Can you run that by me again? And of course the adapters, so the actual connectors, for the first two are USB A or C. And the last one, USB 3.2 Gen 2x2, just works with USB-C. So that's the fastest one. That's 20 gigabits. I mean, like, I get that they renamed that. Yeah, Crickle says most German reaction, meine Fresse. FWBD Gen 2. Yeah, I mean, if you're running Gen 2, you understand this. Like, if you're running Gen 2, this is easy. What? I mean, I understand renaming them because the previous names are shit, but like, you're just making it worse. I mean, nobody will understand this. And what's 2x2? Will there be a 4x4? I mean, is it off-road? Crickle says, can it get more confusing? I'm pretty sure it can. Don't give him any ideas. Oh my god. Oh. And you're wondering why Apple is like inventing their own thing, just calling it lightning cable. Oh my god, I can't even. And Golem goes into other stuff. Like there's other complications. Like it doesn't help you if there's the actual USB A or C adapter, like physical adapter, because that doesn't tell you which standard it supports. And also USB-C could be USB 2.0 or Thunderbolt 3. It's just, I mean, the USB, the Universal Serial Bus, was a great idea, right? It was like this thing, we just do everything over one connector. Problem is, they're now at the point where they completely fucked it up. I think this whole USB implementers forum needs to be fired and replaced. They need to be replaced with sensible people. This cannot stand. I mean, my god. Okay, let's talk about something more positive. At least I think so. If you work for Elsevier, you probably won't. University of California, also known as the UC, has announced that they're terminating all contracts with Elsevier, which is the biggest. If you do anything in natural sciences, not in humanities, but in biology, medicine, math, anything, physics, Elsevier, like they're the biggest publisher there. They have almost all the publications happen in journals that belong to Elsevier. And if you ever done anything in science publishing, you know that the whole system is it's really bad. So basically it works like this. You're a scientist employed at a university, right? And you do science, and the university pays for your research, and you discover something, and then you want to publish this. And let's take Elsevier, and you want to publish this in an Elsevier paper. You then pay them money to have it published in that paper. Okay, that's a peer review process, but most of the peer reviewers actually work for free. But there's editors, they have to prepare that thing. And you'd think, great, if they put that journal out for free, that's reasonable. Like I pay them to do No. They charge people to read this. And not only do they charge people, they charge your own university, which has paid for the research, has paid for your salary, and has paid Elsevier to publish this. They charge them again if they want to read their own studies. And anybody who is doing anything in science and is reasonably minded thinks this is ridiculous. This is why we now have the internet, and people, especially scientists, are fighting for open publishing, where you have papers. You might have papers that you pay. They coordinate the peer review process. They do the editing, and I've worked as an editor. That is a lot of work, and that should be paid. But then they will be paid for that, and then they will publish. The actual paper will be available for free for everybody, because also they're not printed these days, right? They're just PDFs that are sent around, and that is, people are fighting for this. Then there's things like Sci-Hub, risking getting banned here, but which is a website that's often linked as the Pirate Bay of science, where basically people just, you have access to a paper, you just upload it there, and then everybody can read it, which sounds bad we will get into copyright later again. I'm a writer. I live from copyright, but still, Sci-Hub is now an essential tool. If you talk to anybody who does who does research, they will tell you it's an essential tool because sometimes you wouldn't have access to a paper you need access to do science without that, because your university might not have subscriptions, or it might just be the system might be so shit that you can't get it, and it's like easier. Like, I mean, I know a lot of scientists, and they do work all the time. They're a bit like journalists. They might prepare their paper on the weekend, and then by the simple fact that they're not in a university intranet, they can't get access to that paper. But they don't want to like drive across town to the university or wait till Monday because they're doing their work now, and that's sometimes where they will use Sci-Hub or something like this. It's anyway. Anyway, back to the news story. Sorry, a bit of a science rant here, but so University of California is saying that they were negotiating a new contract with Elsevier, and they're basically saying we're paying multi-million dollars a year for your subscriptions, and what we want is if we publish something in your paper, we also want to make it freely available to everybody else. Like we have, I'm guessing they have research partners and stuff like that, and we just want to make this also like available in open access. And Elsevier, of course, didn't want that, and University of California saying we were not happy with what they were trying to negotiate. Now we're canceling all our subscriptions. We're not paying them these millions of dollars. We're putting these millions of dollars to good use for science, and they can go and do one. And will be. I mean, this is this is University of California, famous for being the nucleus of the hippie culture in the 70s and 80s. So they're quite progressive. And I think this is really cool. I mean, I think lots of universities right now are thinking about this, and they're putting up. This is a big signal, and the problem is basically it's a chicken and an egg, or a check, if you will, a check problem where where not enough publishing happens on these open platforms because all the university have subscriptions with contracts with companies like Elsevier and other companies like that, and so the open stuff will not get any traction because I mean in science, especially in medicine and in biology and stuff like that, it's all about like the impact factor. It's all about where do you publish, how important is the paper I'm publishing in, and that is also dependent by who reads it, and if you have an open paper and nobody publishes in it because everybody has like the contracts, then that impact factor will never go up. And so this is a good sign. I think this is really good news for science everywhere. I hope lots of other universities follow suit, and and I think these publishers what they need to do is they need to change their business model. Because what they're doing is not, I mean, they're private companies, but they're in a sector that is really important. They're in science and research, and we need more open communication in there. Everybody who does research needs to be able to get at all the other research. That's just, that's what the internet was made for. So we can solve this problem. Yes, and so on to the next story. Got some Brexit news. So the Register is reporting that 3/4 of the crucial border IT that the UK would need in case of a hard Brexit, which is next month, looks at watch, says the Register, next month, is at risk of failure, isn't built yet, won't work. Everything is fine. It's a subtitle for this Register story. This is great. Yeah, I see Mike is in the chat right now. He's our local correspondent there, follower of Brexit. He's in Ireland, so he's on the other. He's in the Republic, so he's on the good side, but he keeps following the story and keeps updating us in the Discord, which is really great. Yeah, so this is apparently there were there's two groups, the National Audit Office and the Public Accounts Committee, and they're basically tasked with tracking this, and they prepared a report for Theresa May, and they're basically saying, yeah, we're fucked. Like half of this stuff isn't finished, they can't deliver it. Such great software as the import of products, animals, food, and feed system, the IPAVs, the automatic license verification system, the ELFs, ELFs, and CHIEF, customs handling of import and export freight. My God, they're really forcing these acronyms. Mike's like posting everything burning in the chat. This is fine. Yeah, my favorite meme. This is fine. I think it's not really surprising, is it? They're pushing this through. the IT isn't ready. Man, that'll be interesting come next month. We'll see. I will, of course, follow the story, probably with the help of Mike, who's been really helpful in this regard. He's the boots. You're the boots on the ground, Mike. In more happy news, wrapping the show up now and coming to some soft news, but this is close to my heart. Alien has been remastered in 4K HDR and will be released for the 40th anniversary of that movie. That movie's 40 years old, and I can tell you it holds up pretty well. And the remaster will be available starting April 23rd. I love that movie. All the other Alien movies are up for debate, and some of them don't hold up that well. But the first one, by virtue of the way it's filmed, because basically they didn't have, the special effects are very limited. The alien is just like a very tall, lanky guy in a suit, and you'd see that if they showed him for a long time. So they just, it's shot very dark, and it's very Mike's saying this month. Yeah, Brexit. It's the end of this month, isn't it? I think I'll be devoting whole shows to Brexit come the end of the month. Anyway, so telling this Ars Technica story, the headline shot of the aliens definitely not from the original Alien movie. That looks a lot better than whatever they had available back then. But it's a great movie. I'm generally not a fan of horror movies, but it's just such it's almost a perfect movie from beginning to end. It's really good. I'm really happy. I might get this. There must be. See what I don't have a 4K. The master will be available in Ultra HD Blu-ray disc. So I don't have a 4K screen. I just want to play that. In really good quality in HD on my PlayStation. Now, can the PlayStation 3 play Ultra HD Blu-ray discs? I'll have to look this up now. If you know, let me know. Halifa says great storytelling, horror techniques in Alien. Yeah, probably the best, aren't they? Like, it's just so well done. Like Sigourney Weaver is great in it. Like the way it's shot, the special effects is just like really good. So yeah, let's look at Ultra HD Blu-ray discs. This is another label. I don't think the PlayStation 3 can play this, right? So I'll not be buying this. I guess that is sad. But still, if you can play Ultra HD, God, these all okay. We have Blu-ray, we have Ultra HD Blu-ray. What? Let's just create another another thing. I'm just looking, definitively looking up if the PS3 supports that. But it, yeah, I don't think it does. Okay, well, that's that's that then. Can't they just use the numbers? That's just, yeah, that would be too easy. They can't make it too easy for us, can they? Anyway, in other news, this is hilarious news, and you will see why in a bit. The ECO, which is the German, it used to be the German Industry Association of the Internet businesses. It's now not the German anymore. I wrote a story about them once, and they were like, "No, we're not the German. We have people in Switzerland and in Turkey and whatever." So they're just a business, an internet business association now, and they have now published rules. If you want to do crypto mining in your browser instead of advertising, because there have been lots of problems with people do like basically crypto jacking, where they install one of these JavaScript miners on a website without you noticing and using your CPU power to mine cryptocurrency without you knowing. So ECO is publishing guidelines so people do not fall into this trap, do not get labeled as crypto jackers. Like if you want to do this morally, how you will tell your readers, okay, we don't have ads, we do it this way. Quicker says Ultra HD 3.1 Gen 2x2. Yeah, that's it. Yes, and Jonathan is bringing up in the chat what my next story would be, because this story is hilarious, because the biggest provider of this kind of like in-browser mining stuff, mostly for Monero, was CoinHive. And shortly before this ECO story came out, another story came out which says CoinHive is shutting down because they're not making any money. Apparently, CoinHive was behind that was a German company called Badges2Go, which was always battling the fact that people were saying, well, you're making money by people using this illegally on websites, basically doing crypto jacking. And they were always at pains to refute that. But now they're basically saying, well, you can't mine Bitcoin in like with your CPU. It's just not, you don't get anything out of that. Like the processing power is not big enough. So most people were mining Monero, and the Monero price just like collapsed. Like last year, like in the last year, it collapsed by 85%. So it's just not worth it anymore. And with CoinHive, like the biggest name behind Monero, basically gone, it's not gonna get any better. Also, there was like an update with Monero, which basically the hashing. You needed a lot more hashing power, and then it was worth even less. So CoinHive has just shut down. So yeah, ECO there, really cutting edge, putting out rules for in browser mining, just as the biggest platform, pretty much the only one, I guess, shuts down. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. That is my hilarious story for the day. I have one more recommendation and maybe a little bit of a rant. Jonathan says a bit of background. They are forking again, which is one of the reasons for CoinHive to throw in the towel, because they have to re-implement the something in something and stuff. They have to it's just probably too much work or something. They're probably not making enough money, and they probably also figured out that all the money they're making is from criminals. So yeah. So I have a last thing, which I mean I talked a bit earlier, shortly about like in an earlier show a few week ago or something about Article 13 and the whole like reform of copyright law that is happening in the EU right now. And if you read German, there is a very, very, very good analysis that I read this morning on golem.de by Friedhelm Greis, who is basically saying why this copyright reform is really, really bad for the EU. He's basically saying the whole like never vote CDU again, never again CDU could turn into never again EU, because basically, I mean, if you read German, read this analysis. It's quite long. It's really good. If you go to golem.de, you will immediately find it. It has a big kind of Roman Empire flag as its logo, and so basically what he's saying is, you have a law here, a copyright reform that is made by people who we in Germany like to call Internetausdrucker, people who print out the internet, and they do not understand how memes work, how we use the internet, and they're pushing through a law that, basically what this Article 13 is going to do is it will require owners of websites they will be responsible for copyright infringement done by their users, which is aimed at sites like YouTube, but will also mostly, I would say, but will have the side effect that somebody, like if I run a forum and it's an open forum, anybody can register. I mean, you could just go to a random forum. Like 90% of the avatar pictures there are like pictures of, I don't know, movies. I mean, and which isn't bad. That doesn't hurt anything. Like if I use Captain Picard as my forum avatar, like CBS doesn't give a fuck. Like they're not losing anything. And it's just the law that basically old men made, that don't understand how the internet works, and they will run up against anybody who's under 40, who's actually using the internet, not printing it out, knows how it works, and will get into big trouble. And what I personally don't understand is, I was going to say, what I personally don't understand is the timing of this. I do understand how this came about, but because I know how politics works. I mean, this has been in the works for years, and it's now just the timing. But like, I know why the EU works like it does. I've studied politics. We did a lot on the EU, but the EU as a democratic entity just needs to be a lot more, needs to react a lot faster to these things, I think. Because if you look at the timing of this, we are at a crossroads. We are at a time where the EU itself, the whole idea of the EU, which I personally believe is a great idea, is in grave danger. We are in a time of Brexit. We are in the time of Greece, of financial crisis, of the EU basically falling apart, and the German government holding on to the edges and trying not to have this whole thing collapse. And in that time, what are we reforming? We're pushing through a copyright reform, which is absolute bullshit, because, I mean, copyright works. I am somebody who makes all his money from copyright, right? If copyright wasn't there, I couldn't make money as I do right now. And I think it works. I mean, yes, there's copyright infringement, but by and large, it doesn't hurt anybody. By and large, it hurts companies. Yes, there are independent authors who it hurts once in a while, but I mean that's how it goes. And I had what about wearing a Star Trek uniform on Twitch? Halifa, I have no idea. If this goes through, I have no idea what will happen. I mean, the problem is they'll have algorithms. They have, Eski says, isn't Dark Times the best time to pass controversial laws. Yeah, but what you're presuming is that the EU planned this to push it through right now, and I can guarantee you that's not how it works. I mean that. By the time they prepared this, they weren't see Brexit coming. I can guarantee you. Don't attribute to malice what can be attributed to just like incompetence. No, this is complete incompetence. The problem is, I know who's fighting for this. I had a very interesting discussion with my union. So I was at a meeting of the local group of my union here. So I'm member of the DJV, Deutsche Journalistenverband, which is an organization. It's not only a union for journalists, but it's also like a trade organization. Like basically they fight for journalist rights, and they fight for rights for people like me. Freelancing journalists, and they are actually they want this copyright reform. Because basically they want, I can understand why, because their whole deal is we need to strengthen copyright, and this strengthens copyright. And I had a very animated discussion for, I don't know, half an hour or something, with like a lawyer from the DJV about this, and I can see where they're coming from, and I can see what they're doing, and why they're doing it. The problem is they don't understand. Like they don't understand. Nobody there understands how the internet works, technically, what memes are. So basically, the lawyers are saying, look, that's the law. People are breaking the law. We need to make the rules stricter, so that people adhere to the law. And that's the job of a lawyer. In German, we call them Rechtspfleger. They are there to the job of a lawyer in society as a whole, as the profession, just like a judge, is to make sure that laws are adhered to and are accepted. And and the problem here is I look at that as somebody who studied politics, and I'm going like, well, obviously you have laws that are not in harmony with how people actually live. I mean, these copyright laws are there, but basically you have a whole generation of people that is living completely differently. And I'm saying that you can, well, we were both saying that you can do two things now. You can force them to adhere by the laws, or you can change the laws in the other direction and just make stuff they're doing legal. And, the lawyers were basically saying we need to force them to enforce the law. And I'm saying basically, what if you do that, what you are doing is you might do this because you're trying to defend my rights, and you actually might defend my rights. But the problem is you're destroying the internet in the process. Well, I mean that's polemic, but basically you are impacting the internet so badly with this. You will force a change that will be in the long run worse for all of us, especially as journalists, because I mean we already have the problem that print is dying, that we have not adapted. We do not have any business models that work online, that work well enough so we can support ourselves. And what you are doing is you're instead of working on that, right? You're working on trashing it all, because basically what will happen is if you force platform owners to be responsible for the copyrighted content that is uploaded illegally by its users, the small ones will either ignore that or shut down, and then people like Google will use AI, deep learning, stuff that we know that doesn't work because they have content. They have Content ID, and Content ID doesn't work. And so I'm talking to the lawyer, and the lawyer says, yeah, Content ID doesn't work, so they need to fix it. They need to make it better, and we will force them by this law. And I'm like, no, you do not understand. You do not understand how much video is uploaded to YouTube any second. Like, that is more video than you could imagine. It is literally, like, if you look at the statistics, it's literally more than you in your tiny little brain could encompass. And technology doesn't work. You're listening to the buzzwords. You're listening. Yes, they're Google. They have money. They will use AI and the blockchain, and then they will fix it. No, it doesn't work. You can't do that. AI is shit. AI doesn't work. Deep learning doesn't solve this problem. Deep learning can't even. When I'm on Amazon, deep learning can't even recommend stuff to me that I want to buy. It keeps recommending stuff that I've bought 2 months ago at the same store, which they know, because it doesn't work. This is sorry, I'm ranting here, but basically, it's bad. I'm really worried about this, because that this happens, and that's the other argument to say, isn't dark times the best time to pass controversial laws? Yeah, maybe from the view of the three publishers, but like the EU organs, the parliament and basically anybody in the EU needs to see that what they're doing is hugely damaging. I mean, they already have a problem with young people. They have that, air quotes, fake news problem. They already have the problem that we know this. We know that people that are growing up now have very, very little faith in journalism, in politicians, in the political process. And they like, if I was in the UK right now and Brexit is looming, and I see this shit going on here with Article 13, I'd be going, well, I might not have, vegetables from Europe, but at least I'll have a working internet. And the problem is, of course, it's not that easy. I mean, that's what people think, and this will blow back on the EU. The problem is, this is like GDPR. I mean, if you force Google to do this, they will have to do this. This will impact everybody. This will impact people in the US, because if Google does that, it's not like they're just gonna turn it on just for Europe. Oh God, it's all terrible. It's just bad. But I would recommend, if you read German, read Friedhelm's analysis here. It's really good, and he talks about the hybris of the EU institutions. I actually like that. That's one of the best points. I haven't even addressed to that. Basically, one reason why the EU is passing that, because the EU has this narrative of we're the good guys, and it's these evil. And I heard that in the discussions with the DRV as well. They're like, there's like these evil US companies, right? And I think this stems from the fact that the EU cannot cope with the fact that we just like we're too conservative. Like we're always trying to be like have startups, and in Germany, in the UK, we try to be the next Silicon Valley, and we can't, because we're just like another mentally. I don't think it's bad. Like we take less risks. We are somebody is ringing my doorbell. I can't answer that. I'm on the internet. It's just like, it has upsides and downsides. Like we like worker rights and shit like that. But we have a problem with that, and we're envious of that. And then we're going, well, they're the bad guys and we're the good guys, and we need to fight these evil like Facebook and privacy, and we need to fight them and stuff. And like the problem is, the hybris that comes in is that the EU believes it has the power, right? The EU believes it has the power to regulate the internet with their stupid laws, and everything's going to shit, as Critical says. Hooray! Yeah. So I'll leave you with that. I'll leave you with that. Let you go into the weekend. Just try to think of something nice. Play a video game or something. I would report on another story that I will write in a bit, but I can't because it's breaking news and I haven't written it yet. So I'll report on that on Monday. Anyway, I hope you have a good weekend. Even with everything going to shit and the world's coming to an end, let's enjoy our memes as long as we can. So let's spam those memes until until Article 13 comes, and maybe we'll turn it around. Maybe everything will turn a corner. Maybe Brexit will get averted. Maybe the stupid law will not pass. It shall not pass. Anyway, let's keep up hope here. We need to keep up hope. Anyway, this show has been going on for way too long. I'm sorry I ranted that much. But I feel very strongly about these things. Yes, spam the memes in the chat. Meme power. They cannot stop the memes. Yeah. have a nice weekend. I'll see you Monday. Until then, can't stop the signal.